Hello, good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. It is the 16th day of January, year of our Lord 2026. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody, as people continue to funnel in here this morning. We got a few people over there in the live chat. Welcome in. Welcome in. It is 8:55, 8:56 in the morning. Got a nice little 15, 20-minute stream for you guys. Got a few gappers to go over. If you want to leave something in the live chat, let us know how you're doing this week. How you doing on the year, I guess. Um, have you done your 2025 stuff? Is all that wrapped up and your goals set for 2026? Um, And yeah, as we head into the weekend here, we're about halfway done with January. The gappers have gone wild the past few days. We've had several 200, 300% type of gappers when we get to the show this morning. We already have one up almost 300% right now, another one two over 100%. And yesterday we had similar. I think the gap and craps as a whole right now are not doing all that hot. We have stuff moving. I'm for blanking on the one yesterday, something PH, SLPH or something. But so gappers are moving. Things are starting to run. The watch list is building and growing, which is something that I use as like an indicator of small cap momentum. It doesn't mean that I take a bunch of trades or have a bunch of stuff ready for me just yet. Most of these runners will end up dying without me, or never re-breaking out, or maybe never even turning into a reversal or for screen day. But I do like having stuff on watch. Going into today, if you guys want access to our watch list, you can over at clovertrain.io. I got a few stocks, more than a few, that I'm keeping a third eye on, which is kind of our little code for, it's maybe not the main stock on watch, but if it starts to make some moves, it's there. And so that list is growing towards the end of the week, and quite excited about that. We'll see if we take any trades today. But I'm excited for it. Kind of slowly worked my way back into this year. I haven't really taken any trades, and have been not really gun shy. I just kind of got back. Then I was immediately sick, and I'm not sitting in front of the computer all day. I'm not really seeing anything great. The best thing I've seen this week has been like Sea-Doo first green day, which ended up being a nice all-day move for those that took part from like 3 to 4. But we'll see if we pick up here into the middle of January. What's the overall market doing? Overall market just hovering near the highs still. Nothing special there. Yeah, I'm going to be alone this morning. Maybe again on Monday. Kyle and Huddy are doing something. I think they said something about snowboarding or skiing somewhere, maybe in Canada. I don't really remember. But if I had to guess, I'd say they'd be gone today and Monday. So we'll be here. I know we've missed a couple streams because I've been busy over the past few weeks. So we will step in, man the show, and let's have a good time. Make sure we're hitting that thumbs up button. We always like to get up to like 30 to 50 likes, somewhere up there. Something reasonable based on how many people are watching. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed to the channel. If you're here every day, even if you just pop in a couple times a week, go ahead and do it for us. You won't even know that you're subscribed. It won't cost you a thing, but it helps us out. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button as well. So we're live all the time. Every day the market is open. We try to be here, entertain you guys a bit, have some fun, talk about the biggest movers here in small cap land. And yeah, oh wait, someone said the market's closed Monday. I think it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So I won't have to run the show alone Monday because there won't be a show. Won't be a show. Continue to get those live chats going, and any questions you guys have, we'll see if we have time towards the end. We're going to have kind of jam-packed the next 10, 15 minutes as we run through 3 gappers up over 100 to 200% right now. So we don't have our in-house specialist. We don't have Huddy with us to go over any specific dilution. So we're just going to do the poor man's version. Follow dilution tracker, see what it says. I will probably say I'm not interested in any of them. And we'll get on to the market open here, which will be in 30 minutes. See, life in the green wants to know what do you use for watch lists. I'm not sure what you mean. Um, I guess I use Webull. I don't trade with them. I just have like a little main screen. I like that it's like cloud based, and if I just pull up my laptop and open it up, like the list comes back up, and I don't have to like save it or take a picture of it with my phone or anything like I've had to do with eTrade Pro before. But um, that's what I use for my watch list. It's just a list of tickers I'm watching, and then I slide the most important priority ones down to the bottom. And it's just a quick way for me to do it, and then I scan with like Benzinga for any tickers that might be useful in the coming days. But a lot of the big runners that we talk about here on the show, and then I'll add in my watch list the next day. Like I didn't watch SLPH 1 minute. Maybe that's not the ticker. What was the one from yesterday? I know I'll find out. There was a big runner yesterday. Wasn't it PH something? Huh. We'll see. Am I crazy? There was like a 6, 7, 800% runner. But I won't look at them until the end of that day, to see if they held up for potential plays down the line, and I will scan with Benzinga for that. So I think we should probably hop right into it because we do got a couple of these. I think Vero is still our biggest. SPHL. There you go. I'm not crazy. I'm like sitting here going, what am I saying? And yeah, so I didn't even see that that had such a big move till last night, and that's incredible to see. We'll see if the gappers today follow that script, or because I know the other ones were like we had AUID, which ended up being closing red, but I don't know if it squeezed out anybody in the meantime who were shorting it as gap and crappers. Kind of had a strong morning. We'll see if that momentum continues into Friday and we get like all day runs again, or if people get overconfident to the long side and then we see the flip happen, which is some pretty decent craps. We'll see. We'll see. I always root for as much carnage as possible, as much squeeze as possible, and give us plays down the line. You know, I want big breakouts over extended breakout levels. All right. Let's do Vero. Let's talk about it. Let's go over here. Venus Concept. This is a gapper up over 300% right now from the 150 area up towards 6. A medical device company out of Canada. A 1.74 million float. Do we have news today? I don't have news. If you have news, contribute to the chat here and let us know. I'm not surprised going into a morning like this when we have several big runners from the day before to have low float stocks running big. That doesn't necessarily confuse me. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other news. What is the date here? 116. Looks like there was a Schedule 13D yesterday. General statement of acquisition, beneficial ownership. I don't know if that's enough to like pop a stock, but we'll see if they've done anything recently. Get that float down. They don't have any cash. Overall risk says it is high. Everything's kind of high except offering ability. Let's see what they have. Again, this is not really my specialty. I am not a fundamental digger. I'm not going in looking for, when they can dilute. Maybe sometimes warrant levels are important as potential resistance. But for the most part, if something fails, you never really know why it fails. You can draw conclusions, but in the moment, try to just trade price action. But it is useful information. That's some warrants. Where are we at? $6 a share here. Not seeing much. A lot of stuff way higher. Some equity lines that are old. And I don't see any raisable amounts. I don't see a ton for potential there on Vero. Let's see. Does anyone put news in there? No. Okay. Yeah, big daily chart here. I'm trying to remember. There's been a couple of V tickers. This looks like one we have seen before, at least in 2025. There was a couple high volume days in which we tried to run. So definitely top left to bottom right across the board. We have a pretty significant day back here to in April of last year where we gapped to the 10 area, did spike like 40-50% before giving up a lot of it on pretty good volume. We had a day that set a lower high, way lower than that. That failed. Then we had another one in November that was an even lower high, and then an even lower high in December. So really not a good history of run here. Post gap, the stock tends to have a red daily candle, which means closing below the open price. Tends to fail that gap. We're up so much that I'm not the type of guy that's like, let's long this thing. But I would still draw my lines at key levels of resistance. I think there's probably a decent chance that a lot of the bag holders from like this day have been worked out in the prior gaps, but you never quite know. Volume today is quite significant versus all of those days we just talked about. So this is like not something, you could probably call it like a multi-month, multi-year type of breakout over any one of these levels if you wanted to. But if you do call it that, I kind of feel like we were already into profit-taking territory anyway, so not like I'm looking for an entry on that style of play. But like I usually say with these 200, 300% gappers, like sometimes these are the ones that make the biggest moves. It's generally not the gapper that's up 40% that makes the 300% move. It's the one that's up 300% that ends up being up 1,000%. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see it run further, but also probably start, 300% move in a morning is a big move. And so it also wouldn't shock me to kind of see it fail. I don't really have a prediction or a bias or a guess one way or another because this is just, I don't have an edge. This is kind of a stock within different levels of resistance right now. It kind of feels open for at least a couple dollars a share higher, but we're already up so much that guessing or playing for that seems, it doesn't seem like there's a big edge there for me. For me, I try to just learn from the gappers. Maybe there is some sort of theme or sector gets going, or just noting who's getting squeezed, if anyone is getting squeezed consistently for a couple days in a row. I'm sure Huddy's probably he's traveling, but I'm sure he's probably going to attack a lot of these today under the assumption that everyone believes that they're going to run big today because of the ones yesterday ran, and if the bulls get trapped, then they could fade significantly after such big moves higher in pre-market. But for me, I just kind of throw these stocks on a watch, and maybe they become a play down the line. Maybe it's a reversal in a couple days. Maybe it's set up for a breakout in a couple days. But on day one, I just try to leave it to the gamblers and those who have edge on day one, which I do not. So low float, running on what I don't see any news, but probably sympathy to yesterday's movement. On a stock that has a history of failing. That's the last piece I'll say on this one is just it does have a history of failing. Sometimes it does have some big moves higher first, but wouldn't be surprised to see it fail. Also wouldn't be surprised to see it squeeze. So wouldn't be surprised to see both, and I don't have a pattern for it. I just don't trade it. Okay, next biggest gapper that I see. Looks like there's been some movement on the ones in the 100% area. So go through those. JFBR is the next one. I feel like we've seen this one before. Jeff's Brands? Maybe not. I feel like I'd remember Jeff. Israeli internet retail company, JFBR, Jeff's Brands. 3.16 million float. Also don't see any news here. I like when we have news. I like to read the PRs, so I'm kind of sad that I don't get to. But another low-ish float one. They have some cash, 8.5 months of it. Overall risk is high across the board for dilution. We'll scroll through this, but your boy doesn't even know what he's looking for. What is this? Around $1 stock. A shell from 2 years ago, or a little over a year. Yeah, so internet retail out of Israel. I don't see news there either. I guess people just buying up lower floats. Maybe there's some filing or some news that I'm not seeing. I feel like dilution tracker is kind of 50-50 on if it gets the news right. But I don't pay for any specialty news services because usually by the time it matters and it comes across my desk, it's very clear and concise on what the news is or what's driving the movement and the momentum. And I don't necessarily need that breaking news in the moment or even on the day of. Got a big volume, not necessarily a big gap day. This is what, 260s to like the 350s, but ended up kind of breaking through all support back here in early December of last year. Clearly a beaten down chart over time. Not a ton of volume, not a ton of activity. And yeah, the most recent day is kind of this one right here, which, volume's much bigger already today, but we have faded so far from those levels from that, $2 to $3 area down to almost 50 cents. Pretty nice, clean intraday. Looks like something happened at 7:30, some sort of information. But kind of a 200% move right away, and then really just trying to create higher lows and hold up sideways right now. So in a phase of consolidation here with 19 minutes to go till the open. Does it fade off, break these levels, and just become unimportant? Does it hold a dollar, which it's trying to do right now, which is what Huddy always says, these stocks that kind of gap into the just over a dollar area will tend to try to use a dollar as support, hold up, and then push higher, or they can kind of be headaches on the gap and crap side just because they want to be a magnet to that area and using it as support or resistance. So we'll see where this one kind of goes into the open. But again, another one that the only real history we have is when bigger volume comes in, the stock fades off. So, maybe some room to run. You don't really quite know where the bag holders are at from this day or what happened on this day. What is that? The 5th. And see if we know what happened that day. They had a definitive agreement that day. And so they gapped up a little bit and faded off all day. So another situation where I'm sure Huddy would probably be interested in shorting this one for a gap and crapper. I'm not sure if he has a price requirement. It's probably a dollar if there is one. But low-ish float, right around $1. We'll see what type of momentum we get there, but no interest for me on JFBR. Up 100%. LCFY is our next one that is up right around 100% right now. I'm guessing this one's quite volatile because I've seen it so many different areas on the gap list so far this morning. I don't think I have an accurate daily chart for this one, but let's go here. Locify, internet content and information out of Australia. Float is 1.43 million. Can we have some news? We do. 1 hour ago. Experience.com expands U.S. partnership with Locify to drive localizer product sales across home services market in 2026. So another low float stock. One sentence for their company bio. It's focused on commercializing its software as a service online publishing technology platform. Sounds exciting. They are pretty low on cash in terms of they have 3.7 months of cash left. It says offering ability is low. They got a little bit left on a ton on an ATM. Nothing raisable currently on a shelf. So don't really see any potential dilution right there. Don't take my word for that. Go do your own research. I'm not an in-house specialist when it comes to dilution. I'm usually just looking at these green and red bars on the daily chart. And that's kind of how I trade. But upon that news, kind of basically 100% moved, retraced the entire move, bounced back 100%, and then now trying to find some level to hold. At this point on LCFY, like I said, I could have the right daily, but there's a chance I don't. A lot of times my charts here, I don't use these guys to trade, but the charts are nice to my eye since I used them for the first 8 years of my career. Make sure you're pulling this up for yourself. So I don't really have a ton of. I don't know if this is the right daily chart or not because it looks super funky and we got candles out in the sky up here. Maybe these are all real. But not going to be able to draw a ton on this, and usually I'll ask my cohort and co-host about that. But to me, it just looks like another low float runner of the day, up 90% right now. Whenever we have days in which we have a few really high flying gappers. Like right now, what we have a 300% gapper and two right around 100%. After a day in which something ran pretty significantly yesterday, I think over the past 2 days we've had. I think roller was the day before that. You kind of just wonder if the cycle is going to continue, right? Gap and crap is a system and a profitable system because the majority of stocks that gap up big don't continue to go higher in the coming hours and days. And that doesn't mean some don't wipe the floor with shorts and run hundreds and hundreds of percents. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen for multiple days in a row or weeks in a row. How long does this streak last? Is this a situation where one squeezes everybody out and two fade really nicely? That's all a lot of thinking. And I try to do very little thinking when it comes to trading because there's not a lot that I know when it comes to these day one stuff. So that's where my mind kind of goes is I don't see anything too differentiating in them. That means one should fade more, one should run more. I think it's kind of a combination of volume, momentum, and if shorts get in trouble anywhere. But I got to imagine the system short people, maybe if they don't have, and I didn't see any today that the floats were less than 1 million. So it's kind of usually the cutoff. Maybe 1 or 2 million is kind of the cutoff. But got to imagine on days like today following times when a lot of people get squeezed, that's usually when you get easier moves because you have less newbies in there shorting willy-nilly. And when you have less of them all on the same side, sometimes the move plays out the way it should. That being said, I ain't going to do anything with them. I'm going to let them be. I don't trade day one gappers. Almost never on the long side. If I did, they would probably be primarily short. But a lot of movement out there today and yesterday, hoping to give us a lot of tickers to be in play. Maybe next week can be really jam-packed with lots of opportunity from first red days to reversals to breakouts. Just seeing if anything else is popping up. I don't see anything else right now. Gosh, it's already 9:17. I'll take like a question or two, then we'll get on out of here. Multi-day breakout traders, do you recommend taking all multi-day breakout to help the learning curve or be picky as a noob? I think with any strategy, it probably is in your best interest to take all of the patterns that fit criteria. The more noob you are, I think I would just increase that. And even over time, I think the better plays usually to increase the quality of the criteria across the board and then play all of those setups, even if there's something that you just necessarily don't like. If it's in terms of like, some of its action or the way the breakout day was set, or like those little things that don't necessarily come about on a spreadsheet when you back test, but in with your eyes, you're like, oh, I don't really like that. I'm not really systematic in the way I trade, but I try to be systematic in my approach, and that means if something fits criteria, I want to take the trade. Because there are just so many situations when you're trading a pattern that is a high risk reward situation with a low win rate. You never truly know what the best trades are. It's not necessarily about conviction and the quality of the opportunity. It's not like a first red day short where a BYND could be a home run because you know that when it fails, it's going to have multiple panics. You don't know how far most runners are going to run, barring really great sector momentum that we don't see very often, or even in the same way that we used to in years past. Some stocks just run further and the risk reward can be really good, but maybe it's not one that you would have pegged as an A+, but that could be your biggest trade of the year as a breakout buyer. So I am usually in the boat of taking everything that fits criteria, and if I'm getting wrecked on that, then I need to increase the quality of my criteria. Let's see. People saying BNI is going wild in pre-market. That was on watch, so that sucks if it's already broken out, is what it is. That's why I don't look at stocks in pre-market if it's on my watch list, just because if something goes without me, it goes without me. There's no reason to be sad about it. Unless you're like someone that buys pre-market. I just don't really do that. So someone said there was news on, was it Jeff Brands? Was that JFBR? Is that the one we didn't have news on? Yeah, and the news was that they entered into a non-exclusive distribution agreement with STI Limited. Nice. All right. It's 9:20. I got to get set up downstairs. Hope Kyle and Huddy are having a good time. I think they're going into snow, so go and have fun in the snow. Jam-packed day it looks like out there. Good luck to all you day one players, whether you are a buyer of this stuff trying to squeeze the shorts to the highest of heavens, whether you are a short seller who looks to take advantage of overpriced garbage, which is most of this small cap crap. Who will win the war today? Who will win the battle? It's a Friday. It's exciting. I think we said the overall market was kind of going sideways. It's just gapping up slightly right now. Excited to see. There's a lot of other stuff from the earlier this week that might be in play today. Could be a fireworks day. Could be an all losers day. Could be it's could be an interesting day. So I'm gonna go in there into the room right now. Go kind of see where everyone's head's at. But good luck out there. Stay safe. A lot of this stuff is low float garbage. So make sure you have your risk parameters set. Yeah, you're ready to go and you're prepared for the day. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really goes a long way in helping us out. And again, you won't even know that you did it. I subscribe to like everyone on YouTube that has a pulse. So go ahead, do that for us, and we will see you Tuesday. So I guess Monday is closed, so we will see you Tuesday morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. I hope you guys all do great out there. And